Dream and destiny. We are in a very tense moment in Joseph's journey, and also it has a profound connection with our own life. The brethren imagined a plan to announce the father about the death of Joseph. Joseph was not dead. He was sold in Egypt. He was alive, traveling to the slave market in Egypt. But they were supposed to give an answer to their father. The simple answer would have been, we don't know. Did you send Joseph to see us? They didn't have cell phones or text message or anything like that. He could have pretended that they never saw or heard anything about Joseph coming to them. And that would have put an end to the story. But it appears that their thirst of blood was not satisfied with selling only Joseph in slavery in Egypt. They were suspecting and hating their father too. So they devised a plan to inflict upon him the deepest pain imaginable. They killed the goat, they took the blood, then they put the blood on the coat, on that tunic of many colors, and took that tunic and brought it back to Jacob and said, "Hey, Daddy, look what we found in the wilderness. Do you know this? Because it looks familiar to us. It seems to be Joseph's tunic of many colors." And the Bible says in Genesis chapter 37, verse 33. Jacob recognized the tunic, the blooded tunic, and said, "It is my son's robe. Some ferocious animal has devoured him. Joseph has surely been torn to pieces." Imagine a father having this kind of images in front of his eyes, his son being torn in pieces by a wild animal. He didn't know how much truth it was there. The only difference is that the ferocious animal Jacob was imagining was not a four-legged animal. It was a two-legged one. So that was the ferocious animal that literally torn in pieces Joseph's life. But this plan, this moment, this horrible situation that was started unfolding in Jacob's life was parallel with the life of Joseph going to Egypt. But you wonder yourself, why didn't God reveal himself to Jacob in a dream and tell him, "Yeah, your son is alive and everything is good, so don't be afraid"? God didn't speak a word. Well, you wonder why. You wonder why you pray for so long for something and you get no answer, no solution, no light. Well, if it is so, then you should better thank God for not sending you any light. You should thank Him for not answering your prayer or your request. Why? Because you would do worse if you would know. If Jacob would have known that Joseph is in Egypt, he would have interrupted completely the plan of God. He would have been desperate to get his son back and would thus complicate the prophetic dream that was given to Joseph. So God kept complete silence toward Jacob. His pain was so deep, unimaginably deep, but God kept him well in the midst of his pain. In the same time, Joseph was not very far from Jacob. And all these years that he stayed there as a slave, Joseph never tried to contact back his family. He never sent word or asked anybody about that. He didn't give the least or the smallest sign that he was alive. Nothing. Yes, it was in God's plan that no communication between father and son will take place until the dream would be fulfilled. Did they understand this? No. No, nobody would understand that. But we must submit to the plans of God, telling Him and repeating, yes, I know, my Lord, that your plans compared with my plans are like heaven and earth. They are so far from each other, and your thoughts and our thoughts are not the same. So I submit my plans, and I submit my thoughts, and I submit my mysteries, my misunderstanding. I submit my feelings, everything I have, I submit them to you. I know you know better. It's painful. I would love to know. I would love this pain to stop in this very moment. I don't understand why it has to continue, but I submit myself to you, my Lord. Someday, maybe I will understand. And if I don't, I still trust you, my Lord. And I would love to mention that in the midst of this pain, Jacob didn't mention the name of God. He was accusing himself so severely for sending his son by his own decision in that dangerous trip. He was sure that he will be protected by God, and no wild animal will ever turn Joseph to pieces. He is under the protection of God. And now, what happened? Seeing the tunic bloodied in front of him, he could not understand, but he submitted himself to God. Later on, he described his journey like a very painful journey. And I know he made reference in front of Pharaoh when he spoke. He made reference to that day. I don't think it ever was a more painful day in Jacob's life. Maybe you say the same about the situation in your life when you lost a loved one or any other kind of pain that could try your heart. Maybe you have a day that in your life when you say, this was the worst day I ever lived, the most painful. But I want to tell you something. God was closer, never closer to you than he was in that particular day. And if that day is right now, I want you to know right now that God is closer than ever to you. That all your feelings are open to him. He reads into your feelings and thoughts and worries, and he reads like in an open book. And the only thing he tells you, he says, trust me. I know what I'm doing. Submit yourself to the plan of God. God has a beautiful dream for your life. On the road, the journey to the fulfilling of that dream passes through this valley. Trust God in the worst day of your life, believing that it will come a day that will throw light on all events and situations that are going on there. It's not an easy situation to be so deeply convinced that your son was torn to pieces by a wild animal there, and to see his tunic in many colors that you prepared as a badge of honor for him, to see that blooded in that place. It's not a human experience to live and to go through. But still, God can elevate you above the pain of the situation. You can read in the worst day of your life, you can read the words of Jesus. Believe in God and believe in me. Though we don't see, believing doesn't mean seeing, doesn't even mean understanding. Believing means trusting him. Not because I understand his plan or his ways, but I know him. And if I will have or not an explanation during my lifetime, my faith and trust in him will never falter. I know who he is. I know he stands for his word. And I know for sure that what is not understood and what is not clear to me, what it appears to me as being the worst evil, can be employed by God in working toward the highest good in life. Jacob tore his cloth. It's verse 34. Put on sackcloth and mourn for his son many days. Yes, that was the feeling that took over Jacob's heart. If we are confronted with this kind of situation in our lives, we would love today to commit ourselves and our situation to God. From the bed of a hospital or from the edge of a tomb in a cemetery. From a place that we don't want even to remember ever, let's lift our eyes and tell God, I don't understand, but I trust you.